Welcome to WatchMojoUK, and today we're counting down our picks for the 10 times the sun pissed off everyone.
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
For this list, we'll be looking at some of the biggest controversies and scandals that the tabloid newspaper The Sun has ever been involved with that greatly annoyed the British public. Which is the best newspaper in the UK? Let us know below. Number 10. Employing Katie Hopkins. She lived up to her terrible reputation and then some when Katie Hopkins became a columnist for The Sun. In 2015, after horrific news that 400 migrants had perished when crossing the Mediterranean Sea, Hopkins decided to let her bile out. She described the migrants as feral humans and cockroaches and showed no sympathy for the accident. Instead, she recommended using gunships to stop the crossings. What makes this worse is that no one at The Sun thought, hang on, this is an awful article, and binned it. Instead, they put it up and were happy to have their name attached to such hateful content. A few months after the scandal, Hopkins left The Sun and joined the Mail Online. Number 9. AIDS blaming. With the AIDS crisis coming into effect in the 80s, The Sun did its best to scaremonger and blame the gay community as much as possible. In one example, in 1985, they decided it was appropriate to release an article with the headline, "I'd shoot my son if he has AIDS, says vicar." They even got the vicar to pose with a gun aimed at his son for a photo. Another time, in 1989, they released the headline, "AIDS, the hoax of the century," followed by a sub-headline claiming that straight relationships don't result in AIDS. They made this claim by reportedly twisting and misrepresenting the results of studies, potentially being reckless with their readers. Number 8. Stoking the fires. In 2019, Ben Stokes was one of the most beloved English cricketers after helping spur the team to win the 2019 Cricket World Cup and playing a blinder against Australia in the Ashes. So, to celebrate Stokes, The Sun made his family tragedy front page news. Even after the paper was slated by everyone, including Stokes, The Sun had the audacity to defend its front page, calling it a matter of public record.
That this was low and despicable behaviour disguised as journalism. I cannot conceive of anything more immoral, heartless or contemptuous to the feelings and circumstances of my family.
Speaking of athletes, in 2017, England and then Everton footballer Ross Barkley was another target. The former Sun editor turned columnist Kelvin Mackenzie decided it was a good idea to compare Barkley, who has a grandfather from Nigeria, to a gorilla. The paper was forced to apologise for the slur. Number 7. Repeated homophobia. The LGBTQ+ community is regular cannon fodder for The Sun. In the late 80s, Piers Morgan worked for the paper as a journalist. He was asked to do an article that speculated on the sexualities of pop stars. Kelvin Mackenzie offensively headlined it with a slur. This was followed by Morgan writing an angry piece on a gay kiss in EastEnders. Mackenzie went with another offensive headline that referred to the soap as EastBenders. In 1987, some people in the gay community looked for asylum at the Norwegian embassy after getting fed up with the attacks by various papers, including The Sun. The newspaper decided to release an embarrassing segment in The Sun Says, offering to pay for their one-way flights out of the country. Number 6. Aiming at minorities. In 2015, it was the turn of UK Muslims to get the ire of The Sun, when they went with the front page headline of 1 in 5 Brit Muslims sympathy for jihadis. As it turns out, the results in a study mentioned in the article were twisted by the paper, seemingly to create further division. The Independent Press Standards Organisation received a record-breaking amount of complaints from the public. In 2016, the IPSO ordered The Sun to admit its headline was significantly misleading. But the paper has a history of fear-mongering. In 2003, they published the front page headline "Swan Bake" with an article that claimed asylum seekers were barbecuing the birds. Investigations into the claims found no evidence this ever happened. Number 5. Page 3. When Rupert Murdoch bought the fledgling newspaper in 1969, all methods were on the table to make the Sun profitable. And in 1970, he and then editor Larry Lamb decided that having topless women modelling on page 3 was the way to go. And it kinda worked, since their circulation doubled by the following year. Over the years, the practice has regularly been criticised for using cheap nudity to make cash, especially when Samantha Fox debuted as a page 3 girl in 1983 when she was only 16 years old. Grim. In 2013, Green Party MP Caroline Lucas wore a "No More Page 3" t-shirt during a debate on media sexism. By 2015, after years of the Page 3 series being slated, it was finally bin. Number 4. Bribing cops allegations. With the investigation into the Sun's sister paper, The News of the World, on the hacking allegations, Operation Elvedon was put together. It was created to investigate the evidence they had gathered that the newspapers had been bribing police officers and other public officials for scoops. By 2012, many cops and journalists, including then senior Sun editor Jamie Pyatt and deputy editor Jeff Webster, were arrested on suspicion. Over the following years, several officers were convicted for accepting cash for stories, some of whom served time in prison. The Sun's crime reporter Anthony France received a suspended sentence and community service for misconduct, yet by 2016 the conviction was overturned on appeal. Number 3. Political influence. Some people believe that print media shouldn't have a political bias, but the Sun definitely doesn't agree with that. They've made their opinions known many, many times. In 1992, after years of supporting Labour before backing Margaret Thatcher, The Sun infamously posted on their front page, "It's the Sun what won it," after the Conservatives won the general election. Rupert Murdoch later claimed they didn't actually have that power, and the headline was "tasteless and wrong." But that didn't stop them from backing political parties. When Tony Blair's New Labour wooed Murdoch, the party won the election in 1997. In 2009, The Sun jumped back to the Tories, who then took power. The paper also endorsed Boris Johnson for leadership in 2019. Number 2. Hacking allegations. Since the News of the World hacking scandal, actor Hugh Grant has been a key figure in having the iffy practices of journalists examined. After all, his case with the now defunct newspaper was settled in 2012, and another against the Mirror Group newspapers followed suit in 2018. Well, in 2022, he brought a new claim against The Sun. At the time of recording, the case is still underway. Another actor that took The Sun to court on hacking allegations was Sienna Miller. In 2005, the paper suspiciously found out she was in the early stages of pregnancy before her friends or family knew. After taking The Sun to court, Miller received a substantial settlement from the paper to drop the case in 2021. Number 1. The Hillsborough disaster. If you walk into a shop in Liverpool and ask for a copy of The Sun, you would be glared at, and for good reason. In 1989, in a match between Liverpool and Nottingham Forest at Hillsborough Stadium in Sheffield, an overfilled capacity crowd resulted in 97 fatalities. The Sun blamed the fans for what happened under the headline "The Truth," which highlighted claims made by the police and Conservative MP Irving Patnick. The sub-headlines featured horrific accusations, like fans stealing from the pockets of those fallen. Only it wasn't true. In 2012, the Hillsborough Independent panel stated that no Liverpool fans were responsible. The Sun has officially apologised over the years for its terrible coverage, but many in Liverpool don't accept it.
Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojoUK and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.